This is Recall Prior Knowledge for Chapter 1, the answers to the odds. Number 1, they're asking us to put them in order from least to greatest and to graph them on a horizontal number line. So the first thing that we need to do is convert them all to decimals. So 11 over 17 means 11 divided by 17, top number divided by the bottom number, and we get 0.647, and it keeps going on forever. 1 3/5, same thing, do 3 divided by 5, and you'll get 0.6. Plus we have the whole number 1, so it's actually 1.6. 0.3 we can leave alone, 1.6 we can leave alone, so you'll see we have two 1.6s. And then 19 over 10, we do 19 divided by 10. So again, top number divided by the bottom number, and we get 1.9. So we want to put those numbers in order from least to greatest on a number line. And they're all between 0 and 2, so we can just make a number line like that. The smallest one is the 0.3, which was already written like that. So 0.3, we could just put, it's a little less than halfway between 0 and 1, put a dot, solid dot, and write 0.3 above it. So we're done with the 0.3s. The next smallest was the 0.647, which was 11/17. So that's a little bit more than halfway between 0 and 1. So we put a dot there and write 11 over 17. We're now finished with that. Next, so we have 1.6, 1.6, and 1.9. So 1.6 are equal to each other. So 1.6 a little bit more than halfway. And we had 1.6 and 1 3/5. Both would be right there. So we're finished with those. And last we have the 1.9, which is almost 2, 1.9. And then it did mention to put them least to greatest using the less than symbol. So 0.3 is less than 11/17, which is less than 1.6, which is equal to 1 3/5, which is less than 19 over 10. Okay, so again on that, make sure you use the original numbers that they gave you, not what you changed them to. Okay, moving on to number 5 now. Now each number 5 to the nearest 100. So 6 is in the ones, the 5 is in the tens, the 4 is in the hundreds. So we look at the next number, the 5. Is the 5 big enough to change the 4? Yes. So the 4 becomes a 5. Everything else becomes zeros. So 1,500. Number 7, round to nearest tens. The 2 is in the tens. The 3, is the 3 big enough to change the 2? No. So 4,920. And number 9, the nearest hundredths. 2 is in the hundredths. Is the 8 big enough to change it? Yes. So it'd be 306.13. And then everything after that would become zeros. So the 8 becomes a 0, and there's no need to put that 0 after the 3. Putting that 0 does not change the value, so we can just drop it and have 0.13. Number 11, we're rounding to the nearest tenths. So the 9 is in the tenths. Is the 3 big enough to change the 9? So 9,909 point, and the 3 is not big enough to change it, so it stays a 9. And again, after the 9, everything becomes zeros. Round to nearest tens now for number 13. The tens place is right there. Is the 9 big enough to change the 0? So 9,900. The 9 would change the 0 to a 1, and the 9 itself would become a 0, and then everything else after it. So rounding to the nearest tens place would be 9,910. Okay. Okay. Number 15, find the square of each number. So that would mean 12 squared, or our 12 times 12, which is 144. 17, find the cube of each number. So 6 to the third power means 6 cubed. So that means 6 times 6 times 6. Which is 216. 19, they're asking us to find the square root and cubed root. So square root of 729 and cubed root of 729. So if we look at that on our calculators, so to find the square root, you hit the second key, second, and the x squared button. That brings the radical sign up. Type in 729, hit enter, and our square root is 27. So our square root of 729 is 27. Now we gotta find the cubed root. The cubed root button is the second key and the caret, the upside down V. Now before we hit that, we gotta hit the number 3 for cubed root. Hit second and the caret. You see this time the radical sign has an X with it. Type in 729 and we get 9. So the cubed root of 729 is 9. So what we're saying is that 9 times 9 times 9 is 729. With square root, we're saying that 27 times 27 equals 729. So that's the difference between square root and cubed root. Find the absolute value of each number. Be 34, 23, 54, 54, 60. Absolute value is always positive. It just means how far is it from 0. The number farthest from 0 is negative 60. Which number has the greatest absolute value? Negative 60. So they're not asking you which number is the biggest, which one is farthest from 0, the greatest absolute value. The absolute value of negative 60 is 60. So of those numbers, it has the greatest absolute value. And finishing it out now, the absolute value of 6 is 6. 29, absolute value of negative 7 is 7. Absolute value of negative 72 is 72, so less than. 31, absolute value of negative 26 is 26. Absolute value of 5 is 5, so greater than. All right, there are your answers to the odds for the recall prior knowledge for Chapter 1.